Welcome to the IT Career Energizer podcast. For anyone who wants to build and grow a career in IT, develop and improve your strengths and skills, be inspired and motivated by the successes of others, manage your career progression, and achieve your IT career goals. And now, your host, Phil Burgess.
Welcome to episode 35 of the IT Career Energizer, a weekly podcast where I chat with inspiring IT professionals, consultants and experts from around the world. To find out more about the podcast, visit itcareerenergizer.com. And don't forget to subscribe to get new episodes automatically downloaded to your device. And now let's chat with today's guest, Kent C. Dodds. Kent is a full-stack JavaScript engineer at PayPal whom he represents on the TC39, which is the committee that evolves JavaScript. Kent is actively involved in the open source community with over 100 published NPM packages and a contributor on many more. He is also an egghead.io instructor, front-end masters instructor, and Google developer expert. Kent is happily married and the father of 4 kids. He likes code, cares about craft, design, tools, and architecture. So Kent, can I ask you to expand on that rather brief bio and tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I think, like it mentioned in the bio, probably like the most important thing to me is my family. And so I am the father of 4 children and a husband of 1 wife, and we enjoy each other here in Utah. And I just love it here. I've been working, I actually graduated from BYU just about 3.5 years ago now, and been working full-time since then. Right now I'm working for PayPal and totally loving it, working remotely from my home, and that's all that I could ever ask for. So I'm pretty blessed, pretty happy with the state of things.
Can you share a unique career tip that the IT Career Energizer audience need to know and probably don't?
Sure. So for some reason I think I attract a lot of beginners, and one tip that I like to give to beginners a lot is that there's no shortcut to experience. Maybe the reason I attract a lot of beginners is because I'm kind of a beginner myself. But yeah, there's just no shortcut to experience. You have to put in the time to get that experience. But there are ways that you can increase the impact of that time by following this learning methodology that I've kind of thought of here. I don't really have a name for it, but the process or the methodology is that you consume information, just make yourself aware of what's available, and then you build stuff like whatever applications or libraries or tools with the things that you've consumed, with the things you've learned about. And then to solidify your understanding of those things, you teach about them. And I think that process is the best way to kind of learn how to, or like to accelerate your experience or increase the impact of the time you put into developing your skills.
Can you tell us the story of your worst IT career moment and what you learned from that experience?
Yeah, so definitely the worst that I can think of is last year I went to I was invited to speak at a bunch of conferences, like over a dozen conferences or something, and it was a lot of fun. And most of these conferences I'd actually accepted before I even joined on to PayPal, and after a while, my manager started to get a little bit concerned and said, "Hey, listen, like you're kind of the team lead. We need you around, and like currently with all the conferences you've been going to, it's basically 1 day in 5 that you're gone, and that's kind of a problem." And so instead of growing up and realizing that, yeah, I'm letting my team down a little bit, what I did was I complained publicly on Twitter about it. And said, well, apparently I can only go to 1 conference every quarter now. This is so stupid. And I was really quickly reminded by some of my great followers that it's a privilege to be able to go to even 1 conference a year, let alone 1 conference a quarter. And so it made me take a step back and realize that was really dumb of me to complain about that. So I posted a blog post to apologize to my teammates and to PayPal for publicly shaming them, I guess. But Yeah, it was this wasn't something they asked me to do. This is something I kind of, after realizing how dumb it was what I was doing, and just kind of put things back into perspective for me, realizing that I am an incredibly privileged individual. I have nothing to complain about, and yeah, so that was kind of a bit of a shameful experience for me. I don't want to repeat that.
No, no. So how many conferences are you attending now?
So actually, soon after that, my wife and I became pregnant. We were expecting our fourth baby, and so I promised my wife that I would not go to any conferences until after the baby was born and a couple months old. So this last year, I only attended conferences I didn't need to travel overnight for. But I'm going to jump back into the conference thing next year. My first conference will be at AssertJS, but that's the only thing. I am gonna still cut back on my amount of conferences until my family is a little bit more. Well, my oldest is only 5, so
Yeah.
when the kids are a little older and things, and maybe I'll get back into that.
Can you tell us about your career highlight or your greatest success?
Yeah, sure. It's kind of hard to really choose. I've been just so fortunate in my career, how short it is. But I think probably one of the most impactful things that I've experienced is when I got my job at PayPal in the first place. And the reason I choose that is because it's what gave me the opportunity to work from home for a company where I'm having a really big impact on not only the company but also the world. So the way that I got my job at PayPal, so PayPal doesn't normally do remote positions. It's kind of a new thing, and in particular, if they do have someone work remote, it's normally somebody who's already been working for the company already, for a while. And so anyway, at the time I was working at another company. I was kind of getting restless and ready to move on. And on Twitter, I mentioned this cool JavaScript feature that kind of lends itself better to people writing React in the React framework rather than the Angular framework. And somebody tweeted at me from PayPal and said, "Hey, if you came and worked with me at PayPal, then like we use React and you could do this all day long." And I said, "Well, that sounds great, except at the time I was interviewing for, or I'd already gotten a job offer from Facebook, but I was planning on denying it because they don't do remote. They would require me to move out to California,
Yeah.
and that just was not going to happen for me and my family. So I said, "Yeah, that sounds great, except I'm not moving out to California." And so then he direct messaged me and said, "Hey, we might be able to make that work," because he was on a team of just 2 developers. The other developer was working remotely. He'd worked at the company before and then moved. And then like their designer was in another office and stuff. So they were already kind of a distributed team. And so I went in and interviewed and had to go pretty high up the chain just to like accept the idea of somebody interview or somebody joining the company starting out as remote. And after quite a while of that red tape stuff, I got my job. And so I think the takeaways is probably what you're looking for. The takeaways from that for me are just that, as silly as it sounds, having a Twitter following is really useful. Um, and so, kind of marketing yourself and giving people a reason to follow you on social media platforms is like there's a lot to be said for that. And yeah, like it's you can be the best developer in the world, and if people don't know who you are or what you do, then you're going to miss out on a lot of opportunities.
That is very true. I think that the art of using social media now and effectively self promoting yourself is something that people coming into the industry in particular are going to have to get used to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure that there are people in the world who are just happy to get some job that pays the bills and go to work and go home and just hope that the industry doesn't crash or something and they can keep their job forever. But I'm interested in finding myself in the situation that I'm most fulfilled and making the biggest impact. And if I want to do that, then I need to market myself.
Yeah. Can you tell us what excites you about the future of the IT industry and careers in IT?
Yeah, so when I was a kid, getting into IT was like not really very easy at all. The internet was just starting to become a thing, and accessibility to learning resources was limited to expensive books, and things, and also like yeah, it just wasn't totally accessible. So what makes me really excited about now in the future is how much more accessible learning and getting into IT has become. So that's one thing that really excites me about things, and one thing that I try to do is make things more accessible. That's why I spend a lot of time blogging and writing open source libraries and tools to make things easier, just so more people can get into it, because I think that's important. But also, like, I'm gonna throw in a second one because I'm also really excited about augmented reality and virtual reality. I just think those are really like way beyond gaming. They're just such interesting technologies that I expect are going to make a huge impact on the way that we interact with technology.
I think you're right. I think also it's probably not really understood what those technologies can be used for yet.
Yes, I absolutely agree.
Plenty of potential, but not necessarily any definite benefit identified yet.
Yeah, yeah, I feel the same way. I can think of a couple of things, but yeah, I feel like it's one of those things that we'll look back and be like, we had no idea what kind of impact this would have. Another thing I'll just throw out there is self-driving cars. Just like it just blows my mind that every single day when I go driving, I'm trusting 100 or more random strangers to not mess up at driving. I just
Yes.
that's just totally insanity to me. So I'm really excited to get self-driving cars being more of an accepted thing, so that I'm not driving around with total strangers and trusting them to not mess up.
Yeah, it's going to happen. It's just a case of when.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, we're going to go into the reveal round now. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, sure.
So, what first attracted you to a career in IT?
So it's a long story, but this is fast. So basically, that computers can be used to solve real problems, and that I can like try over and over and over again, and the only thing standing between me and solving the problem is my time and will to solve the problem. So I don't have to, like, if I was a builder, I'd have to come up with all the materials, and if I mess up, that's a big deal. But if I mess up in computers, it's not a big deal. I just start over.
What is the best career advice you've ever received?
That's a really hard one, but one that I have received that I just think is really good is from Getify, Kyle Simpson. He gave a talk. He's given a talk a couple years ago called "The Economy of Keystrokes."
Yep.
That was just so good. And basically, the synopsis is that, like, I don't care how many like keystrokes you have to type out. What really matters is how well your code communicates to the people who are going to maintain, or who are going to come back and read it later. So the communication of code is paramount,
Yes,
and I think that's really good advice.
that is, absolutely. If you were to begin your IT career again right now, what would you do?
I think I would start out with the learning methodology sooner. Consume, build, and teach. So just learn about what's out there, build something with what's out there, and then teach what you're learning. So like I would have started blogging weekly right from the start. Even brand new beginners have something to teach somebody else, and so yeah, like a weekly blog from right from the very beginning. Like I'm never gonna get that newbie feeling back.
No, no. I think you're always, it doesn't matter where you are, you're always one step ahead of somebody else.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
you can always teach somebody something.
hmm
What career objectives are you currently focusing on?
So I'm focusing on still building my skills. I'm still pretty new in the industry, just over 3 years since I graduated. So I really want to improve my skills and my technical skills, and also like I spend a fair amount of time giving back to the community in an effort to not only lend my privilege, because I've been incredibly privileged, but also to kind of build my personal brand and market myself, so that I can find myself in the more pleasant situation, I guess.
What's the number one non technical skill that has helped you in your career so far?
I think communicate. I think being able to communicate and market yourself, like you can be I think I kind of mentioned this a little bit ago, but you can be the best coder in the world. And if nobody knows what you're capable of, then that's not going to do you a whole lot of good. And so even inside of your workplace, people may know that you're really skilled, but they don't know what you're working on. So even within the workplace, sending an email every now and then and saying, hey, we accomplished this thing and it was really great, I think can be a really useful thing. That's where promotions come from. If people don't know the cool things that you're working on, when they're talking about promotions or raises, they're not going to bring up your name. So being able to communicate clearly what you're working on and the impact that you're having, I think is a critical skill.
Can you share a parting piece of career advice with the IT Career Energizer audience?
I think with all the advice and things that we're talking about here, the probably number one most important thing that you can do is to just be kind to other people. Everybody that you interact with is going through who knows what, and not all of it is good. And it behooves you to give people the benefit of the doubt and be kind to others. Some people are new with the technology, and that's totally fine, and you should be welcoming and interested in them and kind to them. I think you can get a lot, you can just get so much further in life by developing meaningful relationships with others and being nice.
Yeah, I think communication, relationship building, they're all key, definitely. And finally, what's the best way we can find out more about you and potentially connect with you?
So I'm Kent C. Dodds everywhere. I'm very active on Twitter, and if you're interested in my code, I'm very active on GitHub. And I also blog.kentcdodds.com. My website is nothing really to look at. It's just got a bunch of links to other things that you might find interesting, talks and workshops and stuff. So kentcdodds.com. And that's the best way to connect with me.
Kent, thank you so much for joining me on the IT Career Energizer podcast today. It's been great chatting with you.
Likewise, thank you so much.
My thanks to Kent for being such a great guest on this week's show. You can find full show notes on the website at itcareerenergizer.com/E35. In next week's episode, I'll be talking with Jay Miller, a system administrator and host of the podcast Productivity in Tech. If you haven't done so already, please remember to subscribe to the podcast to get future episodes automatically downloaded to your device. And remember, if you're not growing your career, you're slowing your career. Thanks for listening and have a great week.
Thanks for listening to the IT Career Energizer podcast. To find out more about building a successful career in IT, visit itcareerenergizer.com.